OpenAI just rolled out ChatGPT study mode. Instead of giving you answers, you need to think about them. It enables critical thinking. And this is great news, and we celebrate it. But is it game changing? Not at all. For this wave, we will need a survival kit that is much bigger than this mode. We'll need to train our emotional intelligence at a level that humanity has not seen yet. This, in a recap, basically is a new feature that instead of giving you answers, it makes you think. And until you don't reach a certain level, a certain threshold, ChatGPT won't give you the answer. Which again, for millions of students and teachers that need and will keep needing these tools, well, I mean, this is more than welcome. So, we need to celebrate this and congratulate OpenAI for enabling this model. But this, in the end, will be a very, very small fraction of what students and professionals, young and not that young professionals, will need in the coming future. Because in the end, this is a wave that is happening right now and might have unprecedented impacts much bigger than the internet and the industrial revolution. It is true that as of today, the impacts are not absolutely massive, but think about this. 2-3 years ago, ChatGPT didn't even exist. And today already many job positions, especially junior positions, and CEOs of big tech companies are already saying that they don't need to hire 50% of the junior positions, or that many positions that might be automated won't be needed anymore. And AI can do that. And if it cannot do it today, it might in a couple months, not decades, months. And this is a reality. That's why this ChatGPT mode certainly is a tool in a box that anyone could use. But the most important question is what you do with yourself. What are the emotional skills that you need to surpass and to survive this wave that won't last only a couple of years, but it's here to stay and it will be exponential. Imagine a 14-year-old that is learning for a math exam with ChatGPT mode, ChatGPT study mode concretely. And you might learn for that math exam in a couple of years. The career you wanted to do, let's say coding, won't exist anymore. So already as a teenager and as a potentially young adult in a couple of years, that career won't exist. And if it does, while you're pursuing the career in your degree, it might be gone at very least 90% of the job positions they used to be there before. But imagine that you get the 10% of those jobs that are almost virtually impossible to obtain. Maybe in a couple of years, that will completely cease to exist. And you will have to retrain yourself to be a nurse, or a truck driver, or a taxi driver, or a plumber, or who knows what, or a yoga teacher. This is very easy to say in a theoretical perspective, but this is really difficult for somebody or for society as a whole that has been structured on a linear pathway, which is study, work, and eventually retire. In this case, you have to study, you have to work, then you have to unlearn what you've learned, because not only the biases, but especially it won't matter anymore in the job market. You have to unlearn, relearn, work again, and do the process again several times. And this is not a stranger or a nobody, such as myself, saying this. We're talking about the founders of the most relevant companies, tech companies in the world. The CEO of Alphabet, the parent company of Google, also Meta, of course, the founders of OpenAI, and some other academics that are stating that this will create massive job disruptions. So the real mode, not only what GPT-4, what GPT, sorry, OpenAI is fostering, it's a mode of redoing and relearning, and especially working in your intelligence, emotional intelligence, intra and interpersonal intelligence. The real abilities won't be technical ones, such as coding, but rather the ability to deeply understand your emotions, to navigate through uncertainty, also to solve conflicts within yourself and with others. Also having the ability to survive, which is a very nice ability, and mentally speaking, because there will be many people that will need mental support. And this will be a new field that the government and private actors will need to reinvent, because many companies will need to do many layoffs, and this will become a reality, no doubt about it. You could say, well, humanity has a special intelligence or a special trait that AI could never replace. And I think this is profoundly wrong, at very least until today. Why? Well, basically, because when it comes to intelligence, AI will be able and is already able to surpass humans in specific fields. Once it's able to surpass humans in general fields, that's what the term of artificial general intelligence really means, then it will be almost impossible to surpass artificial intelligence in almost any field. But still, let's imagine that we don't have artificial and general intelligence, only a very advanced model of artificial intelligence. Still, this is happening today. The mathematicians are being tied with the best models of Google and OpenAI and so on in contest. This is also happening in the job market now. And again, GPT didn't exist a couple years ago. So intelligence does not really mean anything in regards to the superhuman ability of being different or unique. If intelligence is a matter of solving problems, then AI will become much better, at least in the knowledge economy, than humans are. Maybe in robotics, this in the medium to long term will be surpassed as well, but not in the short one. But in the very short or medium term, the knowledge economy, so accountants, lawyers, doctors, including, for example, radiologists, this will certainly be surpassed very, very soon by AI models. And you could counter argue, yes, but humanity has something very unique, which is consciousness. And I agree. Consciousness is something very unique to mammals, to birds, and including obviously humans. Maybe it's only something very unique to humans and also other animals, but humanity has surpassed a threshold of consciousness. You could be right, but still, we don't know almost anything about consciousness. We know it's the ability to feel emotions, to feel pleasure, to feel pain, but we don't really know much more. We cannot diagnose it in a specific part of our brains or our bodies. We, of course, know that it's also the ability to project myself to the future and also to being self-aware, but that could be said as well for animals. But as we don't understand consciousness in animals as well, then it's also very difficult to make a very strong argument that consciousness is truly different of humans. And even if it was, since we don't know enough about ourselves, then there's a mismatch between intelligence and consciousness, because in the field of intelligence, AI will surpass us and is already surpassing us. In the field of consciousness, maybe not, but since we don't know much about it, maybe it's the last tool we have and the last advantage that we have against AIs. So maybe that's the only way forward. which again does not mean that it will increase our intelligence or that will make us unique, but at least it will be the main difference with AI models. And maybe AI models will surpass the consciousness level as well. We don't know if it's related to intelligence or not. We know it's a matter of intelligence and organic matter, but maybe it can surpass the level in a non-organic matter, in a silicon matter as well, instead of a carbon-based one. We don't know that. And that's maybe the solution. The solution for the future of work, of humanity, and the future of survival really, is maybe to understand ourselves better and to understand consciousness. It might be very difficult to understand consciousness overall, but at very least your consciousness. And by doing so, you will train yourself really and increase your emotional intelligence. Maybe by doing that, that's the way to protect yourself for future catastrophes or at very least disruptions in the workplace, and not only in the workplace. And if you see it from a historical perspective, we know that change is inevitable. Change is the constant in history. We know that, and we've seen it. But change today is a much higher constant than it has ever been. And this has only started. This is the amoeba. This is really the amoeba of AI. Imagine once the amoeba becomes a dinosaur. Then is when change will not only be inevitable, but it will be completely exponential. And that's why we need to face it with optimism, because we know that change has been inevitable. But now we have the tools to adapt. And the tools might be within ourselves and not only on a feature in ChatGPT such as study mode. So I hope this gives you hope. Yeah. And I also hope that your job is not replaced. And if it's replaced, I hope you can train yourself for the future, because it looks very exciting in my opinion. So what do you think? Do you think your job will be replaced? If not, why? And what can you do about it if it were to be replaced? Let me know in the comment section. And as always, embrace your curiosity, enjoy life, and if possible, be the change you want to see in the world. See you in the next optimistic adventure.